Hey there. Ever feel like you're trying to unlock the secrets to a good night's sleep with like one hand tied behind your back?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Which is why we're going on a deep dive today, exploring how Japanese culture approaches sleep. You mentioned being intrigued by their traditions,
Yeah.
and well, let's just say their approach to sleep is seriously zen and surprisingly effective.
It's fascinating how Japanese culture view sleep not just as a necessity, but as this essential pillar of well-being, interwoven with everything from their connection to nature to these incredibly detailed approaches to, well, even something as simple as choosing a pillow.
Right. Speaking of, we've got a great excerpt here that digs into some of these time-tested techniques.
Hmm.
And get this, they're all rooted in this beautiful blend of tradition and actual science. Plus, the excerpt emphasizes how adaptable these techniques are, so no need to book a flight to Kyoto just yet.
Exactly. Take forest bathing, for instance.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet you've experienced this without even realizing it.
Wait, really? Like how?
Imagine this. Your stress deadlines loom. But then you step into a forest, or even just a park. Suddenly things feel a little lighter, right? The forest highlights this study, showing that even a brief immersion in nature can significantly lower cortisol, that pesky hormone that keeps us wired when we should be winding down.
Okay, that makes total sense. I always feel more relaxed after a walk in the park, but I never connected it to like actual sleep science, so it's not just about the fresh air.
Not at all. It's about tapping into this ancient connection we have with nature. Our bodies weren't designed for constant stimulation and artificial light. The excerpt mentions that this study found people who practiced Shinrin-yoku, which is Japanese for forest bathing, not only slept better, but also reported feeling happier overall.
I love that. Sign me up for some forest bathing stat. But what about those nights when you're lying in bed, thoughts racing a mile a minute? The excerpt also mentions something called Jin Shinjutsu for that, right?
It does. And this might sound a little out there, but it's actually a very gentle hands-on technique that aims to restore balance within the body by working with specific energy points. You know how acupuncture uses needles?
Right.
Jin Shinjutsu achieves a similar effect, but using gentle finger pressure instead.
Okay, so no needles, got it. But how does pushing on certain points translate to better sleep?
Think of it like hitting the reset button on your nervous system. When we're stressed or anxious, our sympathetic nervous system kicks into overdrive, making it nearly impossible to fall asleep. Jin Shinjutsu, as the source explains, helps to calm this overactivity, allowing your body to transition into a more restful state.
Interesting. So you're basically short-circuiting the stress response. Is there any research to back this up?
There is. The excerpt cites a study where Jin Shinjutsu significantly reduced both anxiety and stress in patients. And you know what those two things do to a good night's sleep? Total buzzkills.
Wow, I'm starting to see a pattern here. A lot of these Japanese techniques seem to revolve around calming the nervous system and easing stress before bed. Makes you wonder what we're doing wrong in the West.
It is remarkable how these practices approach sleep holistically. But that's not to say there aren't physical aspects they consider as well. For instance, the source also talks about anma, a traditional Japanese massage technique.
Oh yeah, I remember reading about that. It's like their version of a relaxing massage, right? How is it different from, say, a deep tissue massage?
Well, while both can be beneficial, anma is less about working out knots and more about restoring balance and flow within the body. The source explains that anma uses these rhythmic pressing, tapping, and stroking techniques, almost like gentle waves, to relieve tension, improve circulation, and encourage a sense of deep relaxation.
Sounds heavenly. I'm all about anything that promotes relaxation, especially when it comes to sleep. But is there any scientific evidence that this actually helps you sleep better?
There is. The excerpt mentions this study that linked massage therapy, including techniques like anma, to increased serotonin levels. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that plays a key role in mood regulation, but it also helps regulate our sleep-wake cycle. So basically, more serotonin often translates to better sleep.
So a pre-bedtime anma session could be the key to unlocking deeper, more restful sleep. I could get used to that. Okay, we've talked about connecting with nature, calming the mind, and relaxing the body. What else does this excerpt cover?
Get ready for this one. The art of choosing the perfect pillow. Apparently in Japan, pillow selection is taken very seriously. They even have a term for it, makura.
Wait, seriously? It's not just me randomly grabbing whatever pillow happens to be on my bed?
Not at all. The Japanese have this deep understanding of how proper spinal alignment contributes to better sleep. They believe that your pillow should support your head and neck in a way that promotes natural alignment, preventing those aches and pains that can keep you up at night. The source even talks about how traditional Japanese pillows are often filled with buckwheat hulls instead of feathers.
Buckwheat hulls. Okay, that sounds a little scratchy. What's the deal with that?
It's actually quite ingenious. Unlike feathers, which tend to compress and lose their shape, buckwheat hulls conform to the contours of your head and neck, providing customized support and allowing for better airflow.
Interesting. So it's like having a pillow that's tailor-made for your head. I never thought I'd be this fascinated by a pillow talk. But does science actually support this idea that the right pillow can lead to better sleep?
It does. The excerpt highlights this study that found a direct correlation between pillow height and firmness and both sleep quality and neck pain. Basically, the study showed that using a supportive pillow that promotes proper spinal alignment is crucial for minimizing those frustrating midnight tosses and turns and waking up without any aches or stiffness.
Okay, you've officially convinced me to give these buckwheat pillows a try. Now, I'm dying to know, is there some secret Japanese technique for actually falling asleep faster? Asking for a friend?
Well, it's not so much a specific technique as it is a philosophy, and it's one you've probably heard of, Kaizen.
Kaizen. Oh, yeah. Isn't that the idea of making small, continuous improvements over time? I've heard it applied to, like, productivity and stuff. But sleep?
Exactly. The source explains that instead of trying to completely overhaul your sleep routine overnight, which, let's face it, rarely works, Kaizen encourages you to make small, manageable adjustments consistently. It's about building those positive habits little by little, like starting with a slightly earlier bedtime each week, or cutting back on screen time an hour before bed instead of scrolling until you pass out.
Yeah, it's about baby steps instead of trying to change everything all at once.
Exactly. And you know, it's funny, we've covered a lot in this deep dive, from forest bathing to buckwheat pillows. Who knew there was so much to learn about sleep?
Right. It's like you said earlier, Japanese culture sees sleep as this essential pillar of well-being, not just something you try to squeeze in after everything else.
Absolutely. And what I think is so refreshing about these techniques is that they're not about chasing some quick fix or magic bullet. It's more about this deep respect for the body's natural rhythms and this understanding that well-being, especially when it comes to sleep, is a journey, not a destination.
You know, it's funny. We started this deep dive talking about unlocking the secrets to a good night's sleep. But the more we talk about it, the more I realize there isn't one big secret.
I agree.
It's all these small, mindful choices we make each day that add up over time.
Exactly. It's about shifting our mindset from what's the fastest way for me to fall asleep to what can I do today to actually honor my body's need for rest and rejuvenation. You know, like actually make it a priority.
That's such a good point. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from all this ancient Japanese wisdom?
That's a tough one. But I think it goes back to the concept of Kaizen that we talked about earlier.
Okay.
You know, that idea of making small, continuous improvements over time. So I want listeners to really think about what's one small, manageable change they can make starting tonight to prioritize their sleep.
I love that.
Maybe it's incorporating a little bit of forest bathing into their evening routine, or trying out that shinjutsu technique with the thumb and the big toe. Or maybe it's just finally swapping out that old lumpy pillow for a nice buckwheat one.
Right.
Whatever it is, I want them to remember that even the smallest step, when taken consistently, can have a huge impact.
So true. It's like that saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Or in our case, a single blissful night of sleep. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the fascinating world of Japanese sleep rituals. Until next time, sweet dreams.